What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. We're back for career mode once again, episode number 15 of this My Team journey. We're coming towards the end of season 1 now. Only 5 races to go, and we will be there. So, yeah, let's see if we can finish off this season on a high. We've got the Japanese Grand Prix this time around, and there's pretty much no turnaround in between the last Grand Prix and the next. I feel like that's been the case for the last few rounds. So it does mean that getting sizable upgrades on the car in between races is a little bit difficult. So we're kind of just having to roll with what we've got, essentially. But things will open up after this race, I believe. There's a bit of a gap between Japan and USA. But in this episode, I'm going to do something that I don't normally do. I, for once, am going to invest in my current teammate. You guys know that I don't stay loyal to my teammates very often, but I want to start to maybe buck that trend. We're going to invest in the simulator, and that is going to make Dan Ticktum just a little bit faster. So we should see an uptake in his performance from the next episode. So look forward to that, because he's been struggling a bit since signing him on the team. So you know, I don't want to make him feel alienated or like he can't drive the car or anything. I actually want to provide a somewhat comforting environment at Marduk Motorsports. So that's what we're going to do. You probably noticed I have been trying to boost his morale, but now we're just taking things to the next level. I think the next step for Dan is probably to improve his racecraft, because sometimes he does get stuck down the order, and yeah, we can hopefully alleviate some of those problems by just nurturing him a little bit. Anyway, upgrade-wise, we are going to do a major tire wear upgrade, and that'll go on in time for the Mexican Grand Prix. So you can see 2 weeks between Japan and USA. I'm hoping to get a few upgrades on in time for USA, but we'll have to wait and see. So we did the tire wear upgrade. That's going to be crucial for us in terms of overtaking in the races. 200 points left. We are looking at durability, which is, again, another thing I don't really do. I'm jumping out of character in this video, it seems. What can we do? MGUH is too expensive. That is a keystone upgrade we could do, but we don't have the resource points for that. What we do have the points for is MGUK. That's only 156 points, but there's a 41% failure chance. Let's go for it. We are going to chance it and see if it fails. I mean, if it fails, then who cares, because it's durability. And I barely upgrade it. We need to start making some inroads on durability for Season 2 to make sure we have a better car. So, yeah, I guess the focus is shifting a little bit. I'm starting to make this car a little bit more balanced. I'm trying to work on areas that I've otherwise neglected in the past, because reliability has been our Achilles heel. As you guys saw from the last episode, we had that DNF with another failure. So a bit unfortunate, but upgrade-wise, you can see the status quo remains between us and Williams, our biggest rivals at the moment. We're trying to chase down Alfa Romeo, but somehow those guys have managed to squeeze an upgrade in for this race. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult to chase these guys and be somewhat competitive. So we're going to have to hope that we're on form here. I've loaded a somewhat new, or a new time trial setup for this race. So hopefully it's quite competitive for us. And we'll just go from there. We're going to run high downforce, I believe. 8.6 is the combination that I initially set out to run. But then I've upped it to 9.6 wings. Spoiler alert, it actually works out quite well for this car around this racetrack. Anyway, Fernando Alonso retired early on in Friday practice. We're now catching up to Kimi Räikkönen in the Alfa Romeo, and it looks like he's got some problems too, as he gets caught up on the curb and hits the barrier. He's out of the Grand Prix. No, it's not a Grand Prix. He's out of practice. It's so weird seeing the AI crash in quali or in practice, but there we go. Kimi is out of practice, and yep, that's going to cost Alfa Romeo quite a bit of resource points, you'd have to say, because they're not going to get any running in practice 1. They might have to take a new gearbox or some engine components, because that did have a bit of a shock to the system. But we'll have to wait and see. P14 in practice 1 after doing a quali run. 7 tenths ahead of Dan. Hopefully he was sandbagging there. But, yeah, we are steadily making progress against some of the backmarker teams. It's been looking pretty promising, actually. We seem to be the fastest out of Haas or Williams in the last few races, and we're slowly starting to get there towards the likes of Alfa and Mayo. I seem to be mixing with those guys. Hopefully in the coming races, my teammates will be able to do the same. All right then, here we go for qualifying for the Japanese Grand Prix. We're going to wait a little bit of time before we go out there. Feeling a little bit more confident these days about getting out of Q1, so just trying to save the tyres that we do have. And here we go for a lap right at the end of the session. Risking it for the chocolate biscuit here. And what do you know? We've got some engine dramas once again. This time, I think I brought this upon myself. Much like an earlier episode, it's one of the components that hasn't changed. I swear that I changed this. I swear I changed it after practice 2. It's the MGU-H again. I'm face palming just as hard as you guys right now. So we do get out of qualifying 1 somehow. We get out by a 10th. Dan Tickton, by the way, nearly gets out. If he had an extra 2 tenths in hand, which I think he's more than capable of, then he probably would have got out of Q1 as well. Oh no, he would have had to beat me. Well, okay, he was 2 tenths away from beating Giovinazzi and Russell, so there you go. He's not too far off in the grand scheme of things. We are improving. Once he gets his pace upgrades through the simulator, he is going to be a solid teammate. But there it is, MGU-H. This is Q2, by the way. We're going to see if we can change the components and maybe get away with it. I do remember the days where you could change engine components and not get a penalty mid-qualifying or whatever. But those days are long gone. No, they're not long gone. We could change the engine and get away with it. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do. And it's only going to take 5 minutes to change the MGU-H. So, absolute bargain there. We're going to head out now for our final run in qualifying 2. And, okay. Well, we got lied to. Because we are going to get a penalty. So, that rounds out our qualifying session. In the end, I did manage to match the time that I did in Q1. But it was nowhere near good enough to get anywhere other than last. So, yeah, Raikkonen really stepped it up in Q2. Everyone stepped it up in Q2, but we couldn't find the extra gains to get ourselves off a 16th place. So, yeah, in the end, it's not going to matter. We're going to take more engine penalties. Sorry about all this. This is not intentional. It's not scripted. I don't know how that's happened, but it has. I have no explanation. I will take extra care next time. Oh, man. I can't believe this is actually happening. We're going to take column 6 of the engine components. And we're going to be starting from last, most likely. But this is probably inevitable anyway, given the current wear of our components. We were going to have to take penalties. So we may as well take them now.
So, unfortunately, we've picked up some grid penalties, and we'll be starting further back than you expect. As for how bad it is, that'll depend on what the other drivers get.
We come to you live today from the Mie Prefecture in the south of Japan's Honshu Island for a race that has seen many title deciders over the years. Some simple, some controversial, but all contributing to a legacy that makes the Japanese Grand Prix an indispensable stop in any Formula One season. With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, and it's Valtteri Bottas that completes the front row. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, We have Ricciardo, Verstappen, Sergio Perez, and Stroll. Gasly, Raikkonen, Leclerc, they've taken a grid penalty, and Antonio Giovinazzi. Vettel, Russell, Carlos Sainz, and Fernando Alonso. Latifi, Ocon, Yuki Tsunoda, and Daniel Ticktum. Mick Schumacher, Mazepin, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Norris and Benjamin. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Mazepin starting further back than what he normally would, when in actual fact he's starting further ahead than what he normally would. I don't get the logic there. Anyway, I'm not one to judge. I'm starting from last place. If there were additional grid slots, we probably would be starting from the moon, given how many engine components we have changed on the lead up to this Japanese Grand Prix. We got Lando Norris starting alongside us, so yep. Our day can't be too bad if we're starting alongside a McLaren. But, yeah, we're ready to start this race. Car feels very good, it must be said. It doesn't feel like I'm lacking a bit in the high-speed corners relative to every other race this season. So I feel like we might be on for a good race, particularly with a good strategy, soft to medium. If we can cut through some of the slower cars at the start. I say slower cars. If we can cut through some of our rivals at the start, then hopefully we can piggyback along with Lando Norris to get in the points. Who the hell knows? 5 red lights and we are underway with a great start here in Japan. Doesn't go anywhere though, as Lando has so much pace in a straight line, we are unable to contest that. But we do have a little dive bomb up the inside of Mazepin, Schumacher, and Lando, who is now last, by the way. So, yep, he is going to be a bit frustrated off the start, but he's got a quick car. He's going to get through the order very, very quickly once that DRS gets enabled. There's my teammate Dan Ticktum running the alternative strategy, the medium compound tyre. Let's see how that one works out for him. Hopefully I can support him in this race or make life easier for him if he can just follow me through as I make overtakes, hopefully. Then, you know, anything's possible in this race. You can see we do have a little look up the inside of our teammate there. We don't want to get caught behind him while we've got the better tyre at this stage. So hopefully he can work with us just as much as we want to work with him. If the roles were reversed, then of course we'd be letting him go through to see if he can maximize his race result. But here comes Lando up the inside of not one, but 2 Haas drivers into 130R, and he's now up into P20 in this race. So trying to keep Lando behind is going to be awfully difficult, but if I'm lucky, hopefully I can throw cars at him in an effort to keep him at bay. We've got our teammate, then we've got the 2 Williams to negotiate, but thankfully there's a bit of an air gap between myself and Lando. Quickly evaporates with literally 2 corners, and Lando is on me once again. So yeah, difficult to follow through the first sector. As you guys know, aero is not the strength of this car, particularly when we're following in the wake of other cars. So, yeah, Sector 1 is not going to be great for us, but we've got a great engine. That's what we do have. We have a dive bomb of our teammate, who's going oh so slowly behind Latifi and Russell. Sometimes I find the AI, when they're caught up in massive trains like this, they do tend to be on the conservative side, and we absolutely steam in there. Thankfully, my teammates see me. Otherwise, that would have made the front page of the newspaper. We're through for P18. And next up are the 2 Williams. Russell is holding up Latifi on mediums. So there might be further gains for us yet in this race. As Lando gets past my teammate, we're going to try and make work of Latifi as he kind of hesitates through 130R behind his teammate. We're going to go around the outside into the Casio triangle. And there we go. That is job done. P17 for us. Russell up next. And, you know, life is looking pretty good at this stage. DRS now enabled. But look at Latifi in the slipstream of us. He is no slouch in a straight line either. So we'll have to keep our wits about us. They do have a Mercedes power plant in the back of that Williams. So, yeah, just don't underestimate these guys. That is probably the lesson to take away from this. Particularly Russell, who's on medium compound tyres. He's going to be finishing the race strongly, as will be my teammate. So hopefully, you know, Ticktum can stay close to Russell and have a bit of a fight there. But you can see up the inside into Spoon Curve. Pretty much rubbing tyres. We get the job done. And that is now P16 for us. Can we get any more position in this race? That is the question. This is now Raikkonen way up the road fighting with Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso. This is for like P12, I believe. So, yeah, Ocon and Alonso kind of falling down the order a little bit. They've now been overtaken by Sainz in the Ferrari, and Raikkonen is the race lead, oh, not the race leader, the leader of this next train of cars. And the Alfa Romeo, as you guys know, is not much faster than us as we have a bit of a moment through the curves. I think we're okay. We're going to hold on. Russell is just a little bit too far back to do anything about us at this stage. One thing I've also done is I've underfueled the car by 1 lap. This Marduk Motorsport car is very good in its fuel consumption, so we can get away with running lower fuel loads, and we're a little bit more competitive at the start of races. As you guys can see, we're putting pressure on Tsunoda and the next group of cars, and that's thanks to, oh, it's not Raikkonen, it's Giovinazzi. My bad. So Giovinazzi in the slow Alfa Romeo at this stage. He's creating a massive train maybe, so that Raikkonen, who's further up the road, can have a chance at some point. So I understand the teamwork there at Alfa Romeo. Let's see if it works out for him though. There's still another 22 laps to go. But either way, you know, team tactics or not, it's helping me actually cut through some faster cars that I wouldn't otherwise be battling. Up the inside of Tsunoda, we've actually made contact with Ocon there and spun him around at the hairpin. There's a massive crash back there, and I'm just going to run away as if I never caused that. I'm so sorry. I was just trying to overtake Tsunoda. Ocon, yeah, I was caught out by the closing speed there, to be honest, and I've got no excuse. I've absolutely turned him around. Lando is running to the side of him. I think he's lost a wheel. George Russell and Nicholas Latifi is involved in that. My teammate, both the Haasers, basically all of our competition is involved in that crash. Oh my goodness. And you know what? I've not got a penalty out of all that. Safety car has been deployed. Maybe the FIA has seen this as a racing incident. It wouldn't be the first time. But there we go. Actually, thankfully, most of our rivals are still in this race. Tictum has got a front wing that needs replacing. And unfortunately, I've just kind of ruined everyone's strategy. So I am now public enemy number 1 here in Japan. Very, very sorry about that. We're going to change the front wing. We did get damage out of that, so we're not completely unpunished. But yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if I did get a penalty. Surprised I didn't, in all honesty. But there we go. Safety car has been deployed. We're changing the front wing. We're going on to medium compound tyres. We might be able to stretch these tyres to last to the end of the Grand Prix. What is my teammate going to do from mediums? Is he going to go hards to the end? I think the hards can make it. He's opted to go onto the soft compound tyre. So maybe he's going double soft to the end. Yeah, that might work if he stretches. With also some slow safety car laps. So let's hope for his sake that he is doing that. I hope he doesn't do a stupid strategy and go to hards at the end of the Grand Prix. George Russell is now out. Is that long remaining damage from the crash? No, it's not, because there was a plume of smoke coming out of his engine. So that kind of makes me feel less bad, because that probably would have triggered a safety car anyway, and the race would otherwise already be turned on its head. So yeah, we're going to get ready for green flag running once again from P16 on the grid. We actually have fallen backwards by virtue of that crash with the Alpine, but we are underway once again. Mazepin, the massive winner out of all that. He was in last place prior to the safety car, and now he's in 17th, ahead of both the Williams.
It looks like we might have an issue. Hang in there. We're attempting to manage it.
We make some moves at the hairpin, while my engineer has actually warned me that there's a potential problem for the engine. I pray that we don't have another engine failure 2 races in a row. That said, karma.
We can confirm that it's an issue with our engine.
Oh no. Are we out? Are we out? We're not out. No, we're not out because it's not red. We're okay. I think we're going to carry on. I tell you what, though, with the karma, I think we probably should have been out of this race, in all honesty. But we're going to get away with it. We're in P14 in this Japanese Grand Prix. And once again, there's a massive, massive train of cars just up the road. And I tell you what, the person who's at the lead of this train is another Alfa Romeo. We'll cut to them in just a second. But yeah, we're catching up to the likes of Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel in the Alfa Romeo, Aston Martin. I'm sorry about the tongue twister. It's very easy to get confused. It's a lot easier to get confused when you're actually commentating. Give it a go. Roll human. But yeah, there you go. That's the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll now leading the race. The previous clip was an Alfa Romeo. That is Raikkonen actually holding up everyone in a pretty lofty position. Giovinazzi there in P6. So, yeah, I don't know how they managed to fraud their way into the top 10. But that's where they're sitting at this stage. I think they've got away. I don't think they've made a pit stop in this race. That must be how they've managed to get so high up in the order. But yeah, there you go. Giovinazzi, again, I've confused him with Raikkonen, not for the first time in this race. We're now making moves on Leclerc into 130R and the Casio triangle. He turns defense into attack and gets up the inside of Sergio Perez there. And Perez is now going to get demoted out of the points by a Ferrari. What's going on here? We've got the slipstream and DRS, and now we're going to go up and overtake and maybe overtake Perez and Sainz at the same time, up the inside of both of them. Oh my goodness. We did get both of them, but we lost the back end. Sainz goes back through, and we nearly squeezed Perez into the grass there. But there we go. We are through and into the points somehow in this Japanese Grand Prix, with more people yet to stop in this race. So, me causing that crash with Ocon has inadvertently thrusted me into a position that I otherwise shouldn't have been in. We are now looking at maybe some points in this race. Meanwhile, there is the Alfa Romeo still way up the order, holding up people on old tyres, keeping me in the game here, keeping these faster cars basically trapped in this race. They're hostages, and we're just picking our way through somehow. Up the inside of Leclerc now. Another lockup for the AI. They don't like being under pressure into this corner. We get their under and over on him, and that was really satisfying, I'm not going to lie.
You're in the top 10.
So there we go, we're up into P9 now, and we could potentially get P8 in this race. I don't think we're going to get Gasly, not unless Giovinazzi holds him up for too long and we're able to get him, but no, there he goes. On the straight, AlphaTauri faster than Alfa Romeo in a straight line, and that is job done. Giovinazzi, does he need to pit? I'm pretty sure he needs to pit. That's another lockup into the Casio triangle. What are the AI playing it? No, it's Gasly who makes a stop, so we might be able to get P7 in this race, maybe even more as Sebastian Vettel pulls into the pit lane. So too does Kimi Raikkonen. We're now up in a third place. So it turns out a lot of AI did not stop under safety car, and as such, we're going to be in a golden position, literally the golden position. We're in P1, baby! In the third worst car. Somebody pinch me, because this is just absolutely ridiculous. Race leader Ricardo pits. He rejoins behind the likes of Lewis Hamilton and Lance Stroll, by the way, who is going to go to the end on not hard compound tyres, medium compound tyres. Just come out of the pit lane. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough ask for Stroll to keep the likes of Ricardo and Hamilton at bay. But with that said, the Aston Martin is still the third best car. Here comes Alonso up the inside into 130R. Had to take a track limits warning there to avoid a crash. But there we go. We managed to maintain the lead of the Grand Prix for now. Alonso now makes his stop. And we've got to now think about making our stop. Here's the replay. Yeah, just left a little bit of extra margin there to make sure there wasn't an airplane crash at 130R. And yeah, I think we're on 2 warnings now. 1 more warning and we are going to get ourselves a penalty. But yeah, pit window is open. Unfortunately, we can't go to the end on the medium compound tyres. I ran the numbers. We would have been in the 80s tyre wear wise. So yeah, we're going to box again, and we're going to box for soft compound tyres. I was thinking about another set of mediums, given how worn my current mediums are. But I'm actually going to carry on one extra lap while we're in clear air. And we're going to go again. There is a massive train of cars. You can't see it right now, but there's a massive train of cars behind Kimi Räikkönen on hard compound tyres. Nicholas Latifi is out of the Grand Prix. That would be a perfectly timed VSC or safety car, if I do say so. But the FIA do not listen to my pleas. We're coming into the pit lane now. And, yeah, I just carried on for the extra lap just to make sure I could get to the end on my softs without them dying off too much. So into the pit lane we go. Not sure where we're going to rejoin here, but the extra fresh softs should mean we're ultra competitive versus those around us. So there we go. That is Räikkönen ahead of Tsunoda, ahead of Alonso, ahead of Ocon, ahead of Leclerc, Gasly, everyone. And we're in P12 on a faster compound of tyre with 8 laps to go. We might actually be on target to get some points if we can overtake some of these faster cars before they clear Räikkönen. First off is Leclerc, and he is already feeling the pressure heading into the Casio Triangle. It's not the first time we've overtaken him in this race, and now we actually have a genuine advantage over some of these guys. Before, we only had the same compound of tyre. Now, we might genuinely be faster than these guys for the next few laps, so we're going to try and make the most of that. Here comes Sainz on the medium compound tyre. Just giving me that much-needed reality check that the Ferrari, even with slower tyres, is still faster than us and very much a threat. But not so strong in a straight line. Because look at that. We waltzed past Leclerc like he's not even moving. Thank you very much, Renault. And thank you, Marduk Motorsport, for investing so heavily in the engine this season. But yeah, life is looking pretty good at this stage. We just seem to be fast in the right areas. Even though we're running high downforce, we seem to be really cutting through the air at such velocity at high speed. You can see we get past Gasly up the inside into the Casio Triangle. We're good under brakes. We're good in a straight line. We're not bad through the corners because we're running high downforce. So I think we just got a great setup on, and the strategy has been absolutely on point. There goes one of the Ferraris past Gasly as well. So there we go. We are now in the points with 6 laps to go in this Japanese Grand Prix. Tsunoda, Ocon, and Räikkönen all on hard compound tyres. So if you guys thought I was fast relative to the Ferraris, then you're in for another thing, because we're racing now people who have 2-step harder compounds than us as we go around the outside of Ocon here into the Casio Triangle. Try and leave him as much space as possible. I'm going to give him the corner, and I'm going to try and slingshot out of here. No, Leclerc's made contact with us this time, and he's gone round. I don't know about this one. I do not know about this one. I think this might be his fault, as he's just gone for a gap that was very rapidly disappearing. In the same way that I was at fault for the Ocon contact, I think that Leclerc is at fault for this one. He's not even alongside. He's barely got his wheels, his front wing alongside my rear wheels. Yeah, I was prioritizing a better exit, but yeah, the gap was only there for a split second. He went for it, he dived for it, and yeah, that was game over. From my point of view, there wasn't much that I could have done about that. The closing speed was actually pretty ridiculous. But let me know down in the comments, you guys always will, about both incidents, whether I'm at, I know I'm at fault for the Ocon one, but for the Leclerc one, that's a little bit more up for debate, I'd say. Anyway, that is Leclerc, who's just spun. Don't know how he's done that, but he's now getting overtaken by Tictum, or he nearly got overtaken by Tictum. So, Dan, his race hasn't really gone to plan after that safety car period. He boxed for soft compound tyres under safety car, stayed out for a few laps, and then boxed again for medium. So it wasn't a great strat from him, if I'm honest. But we've really made this work for us now. We're finishing the race on the tyre that you want to be on. And now we're finding a way past Ocon with the slipstream, with the DRS, up the inside into turn 1. And there we go. That is job done. Our softs are wearing out quickly, by the way. But the delta between the soft and the hard is absolutely massive. It might be close to 2 seconds a lap faster than these guys. And that is more than making up for the deficit of our car relative to some of these guys around us. Sonoda is up next. 3 laps to go in the Grand Prix. And this is our best chance yet of getting multiple points. Oh my goodness. That was a little bit too close for comfort. Sonoda braking a little bit too early heading into turn 1. Yeah, I do some weird things. I do some weird things at times as well as I've hit the curb. And now I'm under pressure from Ocon, who's looking to get some revenge from earlier on in the Grand Prix. There's the replay. I barely touched the curb. And it took everything that I had to save that spin. And just about kept track position. Sainz was all over Ocon once again. But, yeah, we just about maintained track position for now. I need to cut through these guys because the Ferraris are so fast. They've been trapped behind these much slower cars. The Ferraris are so fast. But not in the right areas. They're fast in the corners, not in the straights. So they're unable to really make overtakes. So as long as we can keep... Oh, my goodness. The closing speed between us and Sonoda is crazy. That's a couple of times now we've nearly crashed. If Sainz gets past Ocon and has a clear run at me, I'm done for. If this is a conventional battle, Marduk Motorsport versus Ferrari, with me having no slipstream or DRS, I would get exposed so easily. But this DRS train, because we're so fast in a straight line, and the Ferrari is not, it's weird. It's a unique scenario that we find ourselves in. Raikkonen got overtaken by Sonoda. We get up the inside of him into turn 1. It's the last lap of the Grand Prix, by the way. And we are now looking at 8th place in this Japanese Grand Prix. How are the margins there at turn 1? Just about getting through. I think we did make ever so slight contact with Raikkonen. But we both cleanly get through. And at this point, this is probably the crossover between the softs and the mediums. Where my tyres... And what I'm trying to say is my softs are now dying off. And I'm definitely going to be slower than those around me now. And I think we got that move done at the perfect time. Not too sure we're going to have a go at Sonoda. That AlphaTauri is a good step faster than us. And so I don't think we'll be seeing them for the rest of this race. So the finish of this Grand Prix really coming at the perfect time. Literally everything, I'd say, has gone our way in this race. The safety car, the Alfa Romeos holding up much faster cars, getting past the Ferraris. Lance Stroll has now won the Grand Prix from Daniel Ricciardo and Lewis Hamilton. That is a debut victory for Aston Martin and for Lance Stroll. I don't know how many different race winners we've got this season now, but it's getting up there, well and truly. But yeah, I don't know how we're in this position, but the stars have absolutely aligned, and we're going to get 4 points out of this race.
Okay, pick up rubber and bring it home.
Unbelievable. Simply unbelievable. Driver of the day as well. I definitely don't deserve all the accolades, but I'll take it.
Aston Martin deserved the win today, and they got it. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Aston Martin's performance today has shown that they can be competitive with the biggest names in the sport. They're making their way out to the podium now as we speak, and the reaction from the crowd must be incredibly uplifting for them.
So there we go. Lance Stroll is a first-time race winner in F1. I'll have to get the stats for you guys in the next episode, see how many different race winners we've had this season. But yeah, like I said, it's certainly getting up there. And furthers my point, we definitely didn't deserve to get points in this race after causing the safety car, causing the incident. But you could arguably say there are races over the course of this season where we were very much hard done by. I think immediately to Singapore, where we were on for a big points haul, and through no fault of our own, we were out of the Grand Prix. Luck is a funny thing in Formula One, so I'm going to take every opportunity that I can while I can. Raikkonen as well, massive shout out to him. Finishing 9th place in this race in that Alfa Romeo, which is not much faster than us on hard compound tyres. They made the one-stop work. So too did Lance Stroll. That's how he won the Grand Prix. Obviously have the optimal strategy. Two-stop was probably not the way to go, but it's the way that we went anyway. Finishing on the soft compound tyre, I think we did the best two-stop strategy that you possibly could. Dan Ticktum a bit unlucky there to get 18th place. Again, just stuck behind cars. He couldn't get past Mazepin, so was unable to make any further progress. Our car is faster than the Haas. It's faster than the Williams. But Dan really just seemingly like he's lacking a little bit in certain areas. So, like I said, I think he's going to have to work on his racecraft. So that's something we'll have to tackle in the facilities in the coming races. But we move up to P12 in the driver's standings. We leapfrog Fernando Alonso. Do we leapfrog? We draw alongside Fernando Alonso is the correct terming there. In the constructors, it's still P8 for Marduk Motorsport. We're going to need quite a few more points finishes to beat Alpine. But to be honest, Alpine is Alpine. And they're going to continue to score points. So I don't think we're going to move up any further in the constructors. But we'll see if we can keep earning points and really build upon the momentum that we've been kind of building in the last few races. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens for the remainder of the season. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. Like I said, this was the perfect race for us. Perfect scenario. Safety car came at a bit of a dubious time, but we made the best out of it and finished on what was ultimately a great strategy and made the most of faster cars caught up behind heavy traffic. And we managed to absolutely steal some points today. So, yeah, it was a lucky one. Should probably buy a lottery ticket after that. Anyway, we'll take that. We'll continue developing the car. We'll continue upgrading the facilities and making our teammate faster. And who knows, in the races to come, maybe we'll get some points on genuine merit. Maybe I'm being too harsh on myself. But, yeah, there we go. We'll take those minor victories. And we'll hopefully finish the season strong. Until the next video, guys, I'll see you next time.